and also it gives you a little bit of insurance. So if you lose all your Colossi to Vikings, no problem. You have Bionic Storms, and if you lose all your Stormers to EMP, then it's okay. Colossi going to fall back on. He can't just like A move over you. So he's got to respect it.
Yeah. I see.
It's hard for Terran to micro against that. Like, there's some micro Protoss have to do, yes, but it's much better for Terran to be controlling Viking and Oath and Psionic, and the Stim units, where all we have to really do is, we can just A move, we can literally just have everything in one control group, and also we could do a little bit nicer micro, like maybe lead off with a couple Stormers, maybe have Blink Stalkers on another group, but it's much easier for us to move around in the battle than Terran. Of course, there's really tough engages where Terran actually has to do multiple things rather than just A move and Stim. It's going to be a lot harder on them.
Okay. So I lost that then purely maybe by the units that I built the wrong ones, by building Immortals and...
Yeah, it was the wrong comp. You got it behind a little early, so that there was that, and then just the wrong comp. You teched up. You're still kind of stuck on this tier 1 while Terran got his medevacs out.
Yeah.
Before medevacs, that kind of group's fine. After medevacs, he has the freedom to stem around and just has really nice healing. And yeah, those medevacs, that's what makes drops. It's the healing on the drops.
Yeah.
It's not units that are dropped. That's why, sometimes when there's drops in your base and you start warping in Zealots, they're all dying. It's like, well, why is this happening? Just because medevac healing is pretty ridiculous. So
Yeah. You know when they do drop, do you focus the medevacs down as opposed to going for the army then?
I do. Usually, you always want to take the medevac down.
Yeah.
Because at least if you lose all those units, like let's say you lose all your Stalkers, at least you've disabled the healing.
Yeah.
Because now he's kind of on a timer. So when he stims, it doesn't heal. So you can actually kill his army with a warp in. So
Yeah. Got ya.
Want to focus because Stalkers do shit for damage against the actual bio, but they're pretty good against medevacs because they don't heal and they're armored. So always want to try to prevent the drop rather than try to deal with it as it's dropping. So
cool.
A lot easier that way. But yeah, let's go ahead and hop into the Protoss one. Are there questions from that one?
From the one just then? I think what is the earliest they can get medevacs out?
Generally, well, the kind of medevac timings at the highest level are going to be the earliest they can probably get them out is around 9:30.
Right.
But anywhere from like 9:30 to 12. I'd say probably at the gold level, that your Terrans have probably been getting them out around like 10, 15, 10:30, somewhere around that at the earliest.
Okay.
I'm very surprised if a Terran can get it out before that. But that's when I would be starting to try to time like when that first Colossus is going to pop out.
Yeah.
So generally, my build against Terran is going to be like a 1-gate Robo or 1-gate expand into 3-gate Robo in the Colossus section.
Okay.
You might have to play a little bit safer because in the lower leagues, players are more aggressive and they do crazy ass builds. They're more all-in builds, so it's maybe you want to play a little bit safer. So maybe go like 3-gate and then expand. I always tell my lower league players to play a little safer to adjust to all the crazy cheeses up.
Yeah.
Because as you start progressing into the higher leagues, you'll see less and less. Cheese will still exist, obviously, but you're going to see less and less of it. While a lot of these like gold and silver players have based their entire strategies off this like one build they've been doing. They're really good at this one build, so it's good just to play safer.
Cool. So is there much, when I've been looking for sort of builds for Terran, is there much one-base play, or is it generally sort of fast expand?
It's generally fast expand. I mean, the only kind of one-base play you can do as Protoss against Terran would be a 4-gate or like a Blink Stalker build on a map like Antigua Shipyard Cloud Kingdom.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of like, you would kind of do like a PvP build there, like a 3-gate Blink Stalker Robo build to do some, it could be very good on some of those maps, but I would try to stay away from it. I would want you to maybe work on your macro play, and then once you feel comfortable with it, then you can branch off and start doing stuff like that, because it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough to pull those off. Sometimes you might win, but other times it might just get completely stomped. So,
Cool.
And the off build, you can go DTs, but I don't like doing that.
Would you recommend to me then to stick to sort of fast expand?
Yeah,
generally?
stick to because again, that's going to be the way to go. Not only because it's safe and solid, but also it's just built a nice base for you, so you're not just doing random stuff. I'd rather get really comfortable in all the matchups, macro-wise, and then start maybe branching off and trying like all-ins and things like that. Or
So, if you scout them staying on one base, is there ever a point when you abandon your fast expand, or?
Well, here's the thing with that. What's like your next move if you abandon it? Like, what if he never attacks and he just expands himself? You're kind of in a tough spot then. You have to, like, the only reason I'd say cancel that expand if he's going Marine all in, and that's like extremely early. But if he's just one basing you, you need that extra expo to get more units out. You had to just put a little bit of a risk because, even if you like go, aha, he's one basing me, I'll cancel my expansion, set up on my ramp. You might just set up a bunch of bunkers and sea strengths below your ramp, and then you have like players like don't really have a lot of options then.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, well I've got the Protoss video up here, so.
All right, we'll ×2 this one as well.
Yeah, I've got rid of the lag now. I know what it was, so we should be in sync this time.
Cool. 3, 2, 1, play.
×2, yeah. Should I be looking on the sort of everyone cam, or should it be focused on me?
Focus mainly on you, but you can have it on everyone, so you maybe can glance at your opponent and kind of see what he's doing. That's what I just kind of see what's going on there. So again, stuff you're looking for here while you're in his base. Oh, if he's taking a gas or not.
Yeah.
One gas probably means, one Cyber Core cuts out, either like 4-gate or Fast Expo. Also, see where he's spinning his Chrono Boost too. So he's using a lot of it on his probes, so you can be safe to say he's probably not going to be 4-gating you. Because he's on his economy, so he's not going to have much Chrono Boost for that. And here against Protoss, good builds to do. Like you guys talk about the 3-gate Robo, that's always a nice, solid, safe build.
Yeah.
Also, could go 4-gate, even defensively. Because what makes the 4-gate all-in is not the actual build, but it's warping in the units.
Yeah.
So you could go if you feel comfortable, you could just go 4-gate just so you have them, and then tech in the Robo. But just warp in no units.
Is it true at this higher all the time that like PvP is basically just a race to Colossus, or?
I mean, late game, you have to have Colossi in your army.
Yeah.
It will print in the Colossus for us, but the early game can be a lot of different things. It can be Phoenix play, it can be Blinkstalker play, it can be very fast expand, but usually after the dust from the early game battles settle, everyone's powering up to Colossi, The Colossi is so good.
I've got 4-gate again here, haven't I? Yeah. A little bit mistimed.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. Him. I see this in there because like the thing with the 4-gate, you got to hit early.
Is it too late now? Is it that the sort of opportunity's gone?
Exactly, because all he has to do is hit a force field, and he already has more units than you anyway, so he doesn't even really need that force field.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing a good 4-gate, it should hit around 545.
That's fast.
Yeah.
I'm here in the shadows.
And even then at that point, like, even at my level, like, I need to, like, be tricky with that. Try to get it to do damage.
See, I think I panicked a bit here now with these sentries. I thought, oh my god, he's got immortal. He's just going to come up and kill me, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you got a good amount. I don't mind a couple sentries here, where you can kind of segment his army. But the big thing is like, you got to get that expo up.
Really.
And then again, you're warping a lot of stalkers here. In PvP, you kind of want to stay away from the mass stalkers, unless you're going blink. Then that's fine. But if you're just going robo, try to limit your stalker count, because you want to save that gas for. Because look, now you don't have gas with thermal lance.
I see. Yeah, because of the gas that you use up. Right, I get you.
Stalkers are really expensive. Like, they don't seem that way, but they're really pricey for the unit they are, and they're not that good. I mean, they're good early on, but like once you get late game, they're fragile. They don't do a lot of damage. They're overpriced. So you kind of want just the zealots in there with Colossi, and then eventually starting to tech up to Archons. Because again, it's going to be your Colossi that do the damage, not really the Stalkers.
A bit late on the expo there, wasn't I?
Yep.
I think it was just fear, really, thinking I've got to stay on one base because he's got a bigger army than me.
Yeah. I mean, his army was pretty scary, but you could have held. But again, it's just the opening that's putting you behind, like the foregating and failing, and that's just you behind. That's all.
Yeah.
Play catch up like that when you foregate, because then basically you have to like start from square one because you have no technology, and then he already had his Robotech, so.
Yeah.
Now, it looks like he doesn't really know what he's doing, kind of like what a lot of Protoss do, just Stalker Immortal. He's not actually teching up to Colossi. You could theoretically come back. It looks like he might be attacking.
I remember this one, he catches me on a bad angle with this army. Comes up behind me, I think. Should have been maybe expanding again now to a third, or...
Yeah, you could. Yeah, because especially since your main's running out. It's always a good rule of thumb, is like when you see your main mineral nodes drop into that 500, and that 500 area, 600, 500 area, that's when you probably want to go ahead and gear up for your third. That's the absolute latest. They're already dropping like the 300, 200. You basically don't want those probes idle. You want them working. So you want to have a nice mineral field you can send them to for that tired.
I think that's what I struggle with as well, is sort of balancing my probes out as well at times. Like, I sometimes end up with way too many on one base.
Yeah.
It's keeping on top of transferring them is, I find, tough times. I'm trying to use like base cams and stuff, but a lot to sort of remember.
Yeah. And usually you take a look and be like, okay, that's enough probes for that base. But again, you do want to be oversaturating, so when you do take that third base, you can instantly saturate it.
I see. So there's nothing wrong then with having too many probes on a...
At all, Because
Okay.
if you're not expanding, which you should be usually, unless you're doing a 2-base all-in, that's why you overprobe. So when you take that base, you're maybe saturating it with 15 probes instead of like 2. You're putting yourself at risk, but you're getting good reward out of your risk. Whereas if you just took a third and only had like a couple probes to send, you're putting yourself at risk for like no reward.
Got ya. Okay, I didn't know that. That's interesting to know. For some reason I just thought, 3 per mineral patch, anything more is bad.
Yeah, which if we're talking about the short run, like just on that one base, correct. But you're constantly expanding in this game, so generally you want to have enough probes by the usually by the like the 12 or 13 minute mark to saturate about 3 bases. And then at that point you can stop making workers. So around like 75, 80 probes. And after that, you can stop making them, because then they start cutting into your army value. But yeah, generally, my rule's like 2.5 per patch. So, around 20, 24 per patch is fine. If you want to that's okay. But I usually just do 2.5 because then obviously you're 6 on the gas. So I'd say like 26 per base. But if you do a little more, that's fine. But kind of how the workers work is, one probe on a mineral patch will bring back 45 minerals a minute. You match it with another probe, 45 minerals a minute. You put a third probe on the mineral patch. You get diminishing returns, but you still get some. You get 20 minerals for that third. And then after that, you get nothing. So no more than 24 probes, but I usually shoot for around 20, 21, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Is that why they say constantly keep building workers? Unless you're high level.
They don't explain why. There's like, keep doing it, but that's kind of the reason why you do it. So when you do take other bases, you can saturate. And then again, unless generally it's always going to be good to be making workers. Like, I can't see a reason why it wouldn't be, unless you just know this build only requires a certain amount of workers. That's very rare.
So at what point do you stop then? When do you stop build? Because I've actually had a game, so many workers, that I was supply capped and my army was really small, and it was because I had too many workers.
Yeah, generally at around 70 to 80 is when you start thinking about gearing down. Yeah. Or you've been on 2 base for a very long time, and you haven't been able to take that third, then you probably want to slow your probe count down if you're above 60. Then you'll be like, okay, well, I need to get this third out before I make any more probes. But I'd say total probes around 70 to 80, you want to stop.
Yeah.
After 80, it starts cutting into your army value.
As well, how many you've got?
Yeah.
In my case,
I mean, generally you can just take a little spot check, but if you want to actually count them out, just box them and count the rows.
Yeah.
So there's 8 in each row, so you can do a rough estimate, okay, I got 28 probes here, or something like that. Yeah. So, I mean, generally 3 bases full of probes is what you want. Mm-hmm. You may have 4 base, but you might not be able to saturate that 4th base completely. So generally you want 3 healthy saturations. But also what I do with my bases is I make sure I have 16 probes on each base before I start oversaturating. Mm-hmm. So say FFE against Zerg, I'm going to make sure I have 2 on each mineral patch at my main, and then I'll reroute my Nexus rally to my natural, have a mineral patch there, and then I'll start oversaturating the bases. So I'm getting maximum efficiency for the workers I have, because it makes no sense for me to oversaturate a base when I have another base that's not even saturated yet. Mm-hmm. So make sure you're doing that, and then after that you can oversaturate a bit. Mm-hmm. And then there's also another little added effect is, if you've oversaturated your probes and Terran drops you and you lose 10 probes, it's not the end of the world. But if you just the bare minimum and then you took a 10 probe loss, then that really hurts. So it's kind of like a little built-in insurance too if you're.
I think that's what I've been doing wrong. On builds, especially PvP, when I've been doing 3-gate row bonus, you're on one base for quite a bit of time. I've stopped building workers because I think I've got way too many.
Yeah.
So when I do expand, I sort of grab a handful and go, that'll do, chuck them over there. Instead of
PvP will be slightly different, but it's kind of still the same concept. Usually in PvP, you are one basey for a little longer. I'll still oversaturate a little bit, but the thing with PvP is when I expand, I'll start making workers. Because it's very situational, because sometimes it's okay to expand at the 6-minute mark, and sometimes you can't really expand to the 12-minute mark. So generally in PvP, I'm going to stop around 30 workers in my main, and then once I'll start making workers again.
Okay. Do you build off more than one Nexus as well? Do you rally to?
I do.
You do, okay. Because I've been doing that, and I wasn't sure if that was right. Because I thought the sort of run distance between Nexus might be inefficient.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Double the production of workers is fine, even if they have to go a bit. That's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, still the same concept. So again, you still want to be making work, but in PvP it's just slightly different. Like in PvZ and PvT, you're constantly making workers, usually no matter what. But in PvP, it's kind of a situation where you'll make workers, and then you'll probably stop a bit, and then once you expand, you'll start cranking them out again. But again, you still would want a little bit of oversaturation before you expand in PvP.
Cool.
But yeah. Yep. Let's take a look at that Zerg replay.
Okay. In fact, both replays have been the same build all the so far, haven't they? I didn't really just realise.
Yeah. That's fine. I mean, I watch you get out of 480, but I mean, you can just.
I don't normally do it every game. I'm just so happy. In fact, because I haven't lost many recently, it's coincidental they've both been the 4 gates. Because I don't normally do it. You know, and I think the only reason why I've been doing it is just to mix it up, so
Sure,
that
yeah.
I don't do the same build every single game.
Yeah, I understand that.
I don't think you're learning much if you just keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Here's the thing, though. You get to master that build though, if you do that. It might be boring, but it's a good, solid build. And if it's something good, like maybe a 1-gate expand and a 3-gate or 3-gate Robo Colossus against Terran.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that build enough, you'll get a nice comfort zone with it, and it's a good general macro build. It's good to master a build like that and just to play it over and over again. It seems kind of like you said, you might not learn much, but I think actually you learn a lot about the build and the matchup because you get a comfort with that build, and you also kind of get a little baseline of what the Terran should have at this point and how it fares against your certain army value at certain times in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say just focus on one build, because if you're all over the place...
Trace, yeah. That's what I've been... In this build now, Zerg, I've been doing the 3 Immortal, Sentry, 2 base.
yeah,
sort of all in, but I don't... If you see in this one, I do actually take a third as a push out, so it's not quite as early as,
Sure.
the infamous one is that everyone does.
Yeah, that's
ready
pretty
to go?
Good. Alright, I've had a minute. Are you there?
A minute? Are we skipping to a minute, are we?
Yes.
Okay, 2 secs. Sorry, I didn't hear you say that.
That's okay.
Blake.
I'm not a Zerg, but I'd say, yeah, that build's pretty broken.
It's broken.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's the only reason, the win rates are close in, Pro League and, because I think PvZ's a joke once it gets to the late game. I think Broodlord Infestor is way too strong.
Okay.
But the win rates in the statistics are somewhat close, but the only reason they're close is because Protoss have been doing Immortal Sentry every game. That's the high win rate, so it kind of skews the stats a bit. It looks closer than it actually is, so...
So if I picked a good one to practice here then?
Yeah, it's a good build. Oh, yeah. I think it's something when Protoss do this, still got an 80% win rate in Pro League. Pretty disgusting. But yeah, it's really good. I don't like...
Sorry, have you started? Have you pressed play?
But yeah, let's go ahead and start. 3, 2, 1, play.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, you were saying?
Oh no, it's just a really... Yes, it's good. Because, again, it's kind of maximizing the strength of your Sentry Immortal, and then also you're hitting the Zerg at a time when they don't really have a lot. They're just trying to drone up. And also you're killing them before they get Infestors out. All their good units too, so it's kind of...
Even if they have Mutalisks, your Sentries are pretty good at dealing with them, aren't they, because of the shields?
So, yeah, that's fine. And Mutas, again, they're a harass unit. They're not really trying to, fight, head up with an army.
But you find at this low level, though, sometimes they just build a ton of Mutas and nothing else.
Yeah.
And, just try and kill you, and it works it worked on me whenever I played them when I first started.
Yeah, Mutas are good. Especially if you're not prepared for them. Even the guys just making them, you really need, Blink Stalker 1 Muta come out.
I was feeling a bit cocky on this one, Nexus first. Don't normally do that.
Oh, it's fine, though. If you scout the Zerg and notice he's doing a normal pool timing, that's normal.
Yeah.
So it's fine. That's good that you're taking... It feels cocky, but it's actually really safe. But that's good you're taking this risk and getting comfort zone with it.
Well, I think when I first started, I was terrified of Zerglings, because you lose so many, when you first start off.
Oh yeah. Zerglings. I'm still to this day. So that Prozeron my cannon's finishing, I don't want Zerglings to run in my base. That's no fun.
No. So I'm like, shit, get my forward down, get my cannon down fast.
Yep. that's why, like, you want to try to keep that probe alive next time, because even though you're taking that risk, Zergs are going to be chasing that probe. They're, like, got tunnel vision, like, bugs to a light. So you give them that probe to, like, chase while your cannon's finishing.
Mm-hmm.
What the Zerg thing is, I need to kill this probe so I don't get cannon rushed. So they're, like, focused on that, and then you can take more risks with your build.
Does cannon rushing work against Zerg? I didn't think it really worked.
It does. I only do it when they hatchery first, but some Protosses just do it just so they can do it. And if Zerg has not scouted, they'll lose to that, or they'll lose that hatchery at least. So that's why Zerg are constantly looking for that probe and then checking around behind their bases. Interesting.
Did you put the cannon at their expansion then? Obviously not in the main.
Yeah, in the XO.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, because when the hatcheries make it, it has 0 vision, so you can literally build cannons right beside it, and if they don't have an overlord or a drone, then they won't see it until the hatchery finishes.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I might have to experiment with that a bit.
Yeah, I don't mind you experimenting with it when they go hatchery first. I wouldn't do it when they pull, but, you know, when they hatchery first, punish that. That's just silliness. And I tell all my Zerg students there's no need to do that. Because you get such a small advantage from it, but you're so vulnerable to cannon rush, and it's so easy for Protoss to do. It's just like, why are you taking this risk? There's no reason to take this risk.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't understand the matchup.
Is that enough gates I've done there? Is it 7?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good for that all-in.
And then there's the 3rd.
Yeah, it's actually really nice here. You got a nice strong army. Your probe count's extremely good. You get like that 55 mark, so like when you do expand, you'll probably be at like 60-ish.
Mm-hmm. You're
getting instant payoff from that.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember the last time I lost against Zerg doing this.
It's just solid, and especially how you're doing it. Like, the way you're doing it, you're making it not all in. This is how I'd want you to play, like, your matchups.
I just love the force fields. It's just devastating.
Oh yeah. And that's something that I'm gonna do if we ever do in our lessons. Good like force field practice. Like I want to make sure you're got good control there, because really half the battle to being a good Protoss user is your force field usage.
I've seemed to be okay at force fields actually. It's one thing I'm quite confident with.
Yeah.
Which is good, I suppose, isn't it? I know they do lose their effectiveness though late game, don't they?
Yeah, because they're really great in the mid game and the early game. But once like the late game comes, like they start becoming less and less effective. It's because you could be putting your gas into more, and then also like your opponents have units that negate the force field, like Ultralisk, Colossi, Archons. And also against Terran, you gotta be extremely careful, because if you're force fielding, you might be protecting their Marines against your Zealots, which I was seeing a little bit in your game against Terran. You were force fielding and you were keeping your Zealots away from his Marines, so.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes I get a bit carried away with them as well. Like, I sort of spam them a bit.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like panicking when I'm in a battle and I think I'm not going to win this unless I pull off the best possible force fields.
Yeah. But I think especially against Terran, you gotta be careful with how you're using them. Sometimes they can be great, like, sometimes they can be the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
But another thing is, if you have Colossi, you would want to use force field area, because now you not only protect your Colossi, but you bunch up his units. They're clustered like that, they take more damage from the Colossi.
This actually turns into a base race, this match, I remember it now. But,
yeah.
Anywhere near enough.
Base is under attack. Your probes are
Yeah, and whenever you're base racing, just go for it.
Don't bother pulling back.
And don't bother pulling back, because you've already committed. Maybe once you kill all the bases...
Yeah. It's quite funny in this game, because he's in my base, and I pull a load of stalkers in, and then he burrows, and I think I've killed him, because I wasn't watching. So I pull him out, and then he just unburrows again. You can see it now. Burrows, and I must have been looking at another part of the map, and I went back into my base, and I must have killed him, pulled him out, and then Next thing the Nexus goes. Love Zealots as well against
Yeah, they're good.
Research complete.
they're not very good
Yes.
against roaches, are they?
Yeah, they're not so good against Resuscitation. You gotta be careful with them. That's like generally, like, maybe in the later stage game you can get more Zealots in your army, but definitely in that mid game you want to be relying on Force Fields and Stalkers.
Yeah, and obviously Immortals.
Yeah. Immortals are great, and then Colossi, you can add them. Because Zealots, you know, I jokingly say this, but it's so true. They're great at attacking stuff that doesn't move. So they're half the units move away from the Zealots. That's what usually they're just used for kind of a meat shield role. But like that's why they're really great at harassing, because like war prisons and stuff. Cause they're great. They have a nice DPS that they can actually attack the target. But you know half the battles, you know, you're fighting Marines and Marauders, which is and if the Zerg somewhat decent, he's going to be microing away from them. So.
Cool.
Nice stuff. So, what I want to do now, we got some time left. I want to kind of show you one of my PVTs. Let me
Okay.
take a look at it. So you can see the opening I use. Yeah. Kind of a nice combo of Storm and Colossi eventually, and just kind of seeing the strength of it. Also, I did notice when you're attacking, how do you attack? Do you try to target a unit? Do you use attack move?
I think, well, I know what I am guilty of. I definitely have the whole one group syndrome, which I'm trying to break out of. And I do attack move initially and then try and sort of, I don't know, select the Immortals and focus them, you know, or something like that. I don't know if that's right or...
Generally no. I mean, the focusing, generally no. If they do have like a Colossus in the middle of nowhere, yeah, try to focus that, but generally you just want to be attack moving and letting your units do their thing, because what happens if you focus a unit is your units, first off, they overkill it, so you might have like 20 Stalkers hitting a Stalker, so that's a lot of damage that's not spread out with the Stalker. Also, if he pulls that unit back you're focusing, then all your units chase that unit, and then you put yourself in a very extremely vulnerable position.
Got ya.
So generally, you don't want to be focusing units unless it's like extremely early game, or there's just like this. You see a Colossus or something out in front, you can kill it really quick. But generally, you just want to be hitting that attack move, letting your units do your thing, and you know then you can force field or whatever off that. And one control group is not necessarily bad. I usually use one control group. I have lots of subgroups though. Like I'll put maybe my Stalkers on 2, Sentries on 3, High Templars on 4, but I might just have everything on 1. One control group would be bad if you, let's say Terran's like harassing you like crazy.
Yeah.
Then you'll need to like split your units off. But generally I'll have everything on one control group. And then,
okay. I think I've been trying to like, you know, have like a control group for like Warp Prison, one for observers, you know, it gets a bit confusing as well, it's hard to...
Yeah, I was gonna say, I play around through hotkeys a little bit. I have altered around a bit, so like, for instance, I have all my Nexuses on D. I've rebound that to D because Protoss doesn't use D. So, all my Nexus go on D. So, my 0 hotkey is actually my D key. I rebound that to D, so it's very close to Chrono Boost, so I can quickly hit D, C, 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 C.
Well, I'm using a bit of a weird hotkey setup. I'm using, do you know the core one off Team Liquid?
What's
Have you not heard of the core keyboard layout?
No.
Oh, right. It's like an ergonomic style one. I mean, I read a lot about it, and I thought, I'll you know, because I didn't like the standard setup. But it's all on the right-hand side of the keyboard. I've got used to it now. I can't believe you haven't heard of it, because it's quite popular now. It's getting bigger.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Are you left-handed?
Right, I'm right-handed. But the advantage of it is the fact that what they've done apparently is that they've kind of took like thousands and thousands of pro replays and they've took all this data and like found out what buttons people hit the most and they've, restructured it so that you've basically got all 5 fingers in like a sort of ergonomic type shape. So I just picked it up and then I got used to it and I can't use anything else now. I was hoping you would have heard of it because I was wanting to know what you thought of it and whether you thought it was good or bad or whatever.
I'll look into it. Generally, though, like with hockey setups, I wouldn't say there's a right one. It's like you're comfortable with it, and it makes like sense. It's not just like you're doing crazy stuff with your hands all over the place on your keyboard. Mm-hmm. Like if it makes sense and you're extremely comfortable and proficient with it, then I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Because everyone's got different styles.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on one second.
I'll send you that link there anyway. That's it for future.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll check it out after.
Yeah.
I never heard of that. But that's cool. That's cool. Let me get this replay. Sorry.
One quick question.
Sure.
Do you use macros on your mouse?
I don't. I was using. I did have a couple of my screen capture keys, or the screenshot, whatever they're, the camera lock keys.
Yeah. I was thinking of doing that. I haven't done it yet.
I used to do that. I don't anymore, but it's because I was never using them, so I was like, whatever. But I mean, it's good if you can get used to it. Sure. I just never could get used to the can because I played Brood War and I never used the can, even though we had camera keys back in those days. But if you want to, that's fine. Hockey will never hinder you, so you can get yourself to use those camera keys. They're really nice. I just never can use them.
Okay.
I can't incorporate them into my gameplay. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. So I guess my substitute for camera keys is using the spacebar.
Spacebar?
Yeah. Since I play all the races, I mean, Protoss is my main, but since I've dabbled in third, I've gotten used to that inject method where they hit spacebar and it goes to each base. So I'll do that with Protoss. I'll hit spacebar and it takes me back to each of my nexuses.
Okay.
So, I mean, you could do that.
Yeah.
You could try that out. I actually like it. Basically, in your hotkeys, just change the base key from backspace to spacebar, because you don't really use spacebar anyway. At least not a lot of people do. And see how that works. I like it, because I'm able to cycle through all my nexuses really quickly.
Oh, I see.
It's not as precise as a camera key, but if you only have like 3 bases, not bad.
I see, because I use camera keys to switch between bases at the moment.
Yeah, you might want to try that out. Unless you're like really proficient with the camera keys, you might want to try that out and see it, because it's a lot easier.
So you just toggle through your bases then?
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, and I just do that to maybe get back to my gateways in front of them, or just to quickly shoot back to my base.
Cool.
Maybe during a drop I'll be more precise. Maybe that's where a camera key would be more I guess proficient. I usually just use a mini map. I don't know if that's good or bad, but yeah, I would try it out just to kind of see it.
Cool.
Hotkeys will never be a hindrance.
I just experiment. I'm changing them all the time. I keep messing with them, keep changing them. Just like adjusting them just to make it a little bit easier each time. I used to have build probe as a macro button on my mouse, but I kept finding it messing up. Like if I tried to build probe too many times, it would like jump back to my nexus, because it was the way the macros work. Like it'll select the nexus and then build a probe. So I just scrapped it. I just thought, get away from macros. I just thought it's too, I don't know.
Yeah. Like
it's not clean, is it?
No, it's not. Like I've never actually used, I guess, a macro like that where it's like inputs like 2 or 3 commands with 1 click.
Yeah.
Technically, well, those are banned in tournament play.
Are
so
they?
It's like, yeah, you can't do that. You can't have that. Yeah, so like you can't press a button and do like three moves.
Okay.
Well, I don't think that's really efficient anyway. But it's banned in tournament play. Like you can have if it's on your mouse, that's fine. If it's just 1 command. But if it does like 3 or 4 commands or 1 click, then yeah, that's no good.
No point in learning it then, is it? Because if you become reliant on it, then you know.
Exactly. It's like blocking, it's like blocking the bottom of a ramp. Like, yay, I did it with the tournament player, they have those destructible rocks there, so it's like, why am I working on this? I can never use this in an actual game. Kind of the same thing. I mean, if you're just messing around the ladder, I guess it doesn't matter, but you just want to, like, practice, like, I don't know, good habits, then, yeah, I would get away from that stuff. It doesn't really help me much anyway, I don't think.
No, I'm glad I ditched it now. I really am, because I had all kinds on it, like chrono boost and everything.
Yeah. It's just...
It was quite cool just being able to press one button and it control chrono boost whatever building you're hovering over. But it messed up sometimes as well, though. Like it wouldn't work, and you'd be like hammering a button.
Yep.
It just wasn't clean, and I just thought, nah, there's a reason why no one does this, you know.
Yep. Exactly. Okay, so I sent you that replay. Let's take a look at it really quickly.
Yeah.
And just load this one up to a minute.
Yeah.
Are you there?
I'm here, yeah. I was
cool.
I was in there, yeah.
Oh, nice. Alright, full time to it. 3, 2, 1, play. So basically, this will kind of be the opening build I go for. Nice transition to Cloth into Storm. And I get my ass kicked a little bit in the mid-game, and I'm playing catch-up the entire game.
Yeah.
So you'll be kind of interesting to see what you should do when you're behind against Terran. But it also kind of shows the power of Psionic Storm and then just picking good engagements and whatnot. So I'm going to make a very bad engagement in the middle of the game. But if you're not, I still have Psionic Storm, just trying to come back, scrap back, and do it. And just poking around, looking at his base. Probably a 1-rack FE. Most players up in these divisions are going to go 1-rack expansion. But there's an off chance that you could be Marine all enemy. So I'm going to poke back once I get my Zealot and Stalk Rat and make sure he did take that expansion. And then just putting in Pylon there. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Just to have a warp in point.
Notice you warped out that Zealot as well. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
It out.
Yep. Yeah, sometimes I'll cancel if I want to be greedy. Because usually the only reason I want to have that Zealot is to kill if he does an engineering by block on me.
Okay. I see, yeah.
And I could also use it to help scout, but this is a big map, so I figured I was fine. I don't really have to... The Zealot's not going to help too much if he rushes me anyway.
What level is this? Is this Grandmasters or Masters?
Yeah. Grandmasters. I think this is high. I think this guy's High Masters though. So.
Okay.
Yeah. I believe I played this on NA. So yeah, this is like NA. I believe High Masters. Maybe mid GM.
Research.
So you just like flicking between your hockeys on your Stalker and stuff here, and then back to your base.
Yep. Because I'm trying to get that tower, he's not giving it to me, so I'm like, okay, whatever. So, I really wanted that tower, it's like, alright, well, he wants to stay there, so I'm at least gonna take mine. I want some map presence.
Yeah.
And again, here, if you look at my base, I'm being extremely greedy. Look at my army. 4 centuries. Yeah. Because I don't really need my army right now. Because the thing with Terran, you can kind of monitor them. So when they're moving out, I can quickly get a bunch of warp in if needed. And then I'm trusting my timing. Like, I know he's not going to be hitting me until at least 10-minute mark. Maybe 9:30, like that's super early. But I don't really have to have units until like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Now, if he does some weird type of push out, that's why I have to watch towers, that's why I have to server. I can get units out, he does like a push out from the
And you can warp. Well, you've got that warp in as well, haven't you, at your disposal?
Like, exactly. Warp in, chrono boost, I chrono the gates as well. And then I have force field to buy me time. I could obviously force field to buy on that ramp and buy me 15-30 seconds easy.
Yeah.
I think, and this is why I want to go Colossus here, because like he's pretty much pure Marine. Like he has 1 Marauder, but again, if I win Immortals here, this might be extremely hard to hold.
Your probes are under attack.
And again, just trying to get some good map presence on the map here. Take out his third, and checking the third too. That's important. So I'm like, okay, he's taking the third. So I know he's not going to 2-base all in me. He just wants to push out on me a little bit.
Research complete.
And then take his third.
Your probes are under attack. My life for hire. Base is
So I'm gonna get a little presence on the map here. Also leaving some stalkers at my mains, just in case he does drop me. I'm not gonna suck me in the world.
Yeah, you've
I
left a
don't-
little bit. Yeah, see that.
Actually. And then again, that little pylon there is so nice. I saw
Which
like
one?
that one at the hit the bottom. He just killed it. Bottom.
Oh,
it.
I see. Yeah, so you get that little bit of warning.
Exactly. So that's what's good to spread out. Because if you're gonna force a drop on like a pylon, like that's great. Because that's not going in your base.
Yeah.
And that's time he's never gonna get back. As the game progresses, drops become less and less. Now this was a bad engagement. I did not see the Vikings, so I'm like, oh, that's bad.
Wow.
Now I probably should lose at this point, but I'm just gonna drag him out. I know he has very little medevacs because he saw Colossi, so he made the Vikings. I do have that going for me. And then every time he stems, he's hurting himself.
Oof. Down to one base now, aren't you?
Yeah. But the thing is, like, that might seem like, oh god, that's really bad, which it was, but the thing where I can still have a chance is I didn't lose a lot of probes. So I can just double expand and be up to speed in less than 2 minutes.
And you've still
So
got
when
any production buildings as well, haven't you?
Exactly. If I lost 25 probes of that, then yeah, I think I'm dead. But I was able to retain pretty much all my probes. I lost some, but lost like 5, but it's really not the end of the world, so don't freak out if you like lost a base or two and haven't lost warfare. Just rebuild the base and continue as normal. Anyway, just taking a nice forward position on the map here. So I make this turn work for every inch. Because I want to force stems, I want him to be scanning my army. Because if I'm active on the map like this, most Terrans at this point would be scanning my army, like, where to go? What's it look like? So, if he's constantly scanning my army, that's less scans for his economy.
Why'd you build the gateways up there on the third? Is it like to make a choke point, is it?
Yeah, a little bit of a choke point. And also, like, if he Doom drops my main, I have some production elsewhere.
Okay, yeah.
Again, just trying to lead Stormers out here. Trying to get a good idea, like, maybe I can get a good storm off. Because it only takes 1 or 2 good money storms to swing the battle in my favor.
Yeah.
And just trying to drag these battles out, forcing stems, running away. And then putting Stormers everywhere. Most Protoss, they keep all their Stormers in their main army. Which, that's kind of a no-no.
Okay, you want to split them away?
Split them up.
Do you
Like,
have
I
a separate
say,
group or do you just subgroup them?
I mean, I subgroup them, and sometimes I won't group them. Like, I'll maybe just keep them behind my army and just grab manually.
Okay.
But what kind of like my rule is, I'm gonna keep 3 in my main army. If I want to bring more, I'm gonna keep them in the back. And you never want to have like 9 in your main army and clump them. That's what a lot of Protosses do. But I usually keep 3 in my main army, and if I bring more, I keep them near the back so I can grab them if they the other team can or whatever. Generally, I keep 1 at like each of my bases. Not only base defense, but kind of like a Templar reserve. So, let's say he does get good EMPs off and all my Templars are dying, I can grab one of the Templars with full energy from one of my other bases and be fine. Because again, it only takes a couple storms. You don't need to bring nine dudes with you. You can bring a couple and then just fall back and grab other High Templars.
Yeah. And then you morph them into Archons when they're done, or do you let them recharge?
Yeah, exactly. Morphin Archons. Always recycle them when they're out of energy.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit wary of just making them into Archons. Maybe
What,
if
from
you
the start, you mean, like when you
yeah, I might make 1 from the start, but other than that, the storm is so much more important.
Yeah.
And then maybe when it gets like super late game and you got a lot of money, then maybe you can start making pure Archon once you have a good amount of Templar. That's fine. But other than that, just recycle them.
I think what's surprising me is the lack of hotkeys. I assumed that like at this level you'd have like all of them max, you know, like using everything.
Oh yeah, no. It's actually like I said, like people like, yo, what a hockey syndrome. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
Don't-
no.
don't
Nice
over-
to know.
Yeah. So don't like over complicate it, because it doesn't have to be that complicated. Like there was a time where I was trying, like, yeah, I'll do 2 hockey. That's kind of cool. But the thing was, I used to try to do like century, and Colossus maybe on 1 hockey and Stalkers on 2. But the thing is, sometimes I'd forget one of those hockeys.
Yeah.
In the heat of battle, like I don't have time to be pushing like 3 hockeys for retreat. I just want to push 1 hockey and run away. So, I mean, maybe at the super high level, maybe the Koreans, some of them may use like 3 different hockey. But even a lot of the high level players, I just use 1 hockey in subgroups, at least for Protoss. I don't think there's a problem with that if you're spreading correctly and you're engaging well. I don't think there's a problem with that at all.
Cool.
So yeah, don't make it too complex.
Sounds good, mate. Thanks very much.
So again, this first lesson, even if we don't do any others, kind of get a general feel of like what your play style is and where you're kind of struggling. Which I think at this point, I think generally doing good. Just the build orders need a little work.
Yeah.
Trying to stray away when you were saying that that's right on a lot of losses. And the losses you had were 4-gate losses. So
Yeah.
straying away from the 4-gate and just trying to set yourself up better for the mid game. I'd say just work on the builds. I think against Zerg you're fine. Like keep doing that.
Keep doing the same build every time.
I mean, it's fine. Like, I didn't really see any issues. Like, you're playing well, you're applying pressure to Zerg, you're doing all the good things you should be doing, which usually makes that matchup very hard for beginners. But you're doing, like, really nice things. And you didn't have a lot of time to cover PvT and PvC, but try to get more Colossus-centric in both those matchups.
I'm definitely up for another lesson, mate, so I don't know. How busy are you in terms of...
Today I can't do it, but let me look. What are you thinking? Maybe later in the weekend or
Well,
next
I was thinking more like... I don't mean today, I meant like just sort of like a more... like a regular thing, like maybe once a week, or...
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, I have a lot of regular students like that, sure. Yeah, we could do it.
I think that would be really... Because I think it's, as you say, in one lesson it's difficult in it to...
Yeah.
Get everything across, you know. So it'd be good if it sort of had a regular back on it and, you know, try and apply some of the things that I've kind of learned and that, you know.
Yeah, exactly, because usually with my weekly students is, we usually open the lesson with some replay analysis. So I was like going over replays, like 1 or 2 replays at the beginning of the lesson, and then we can have maybe a focal point for that lesson. Like maybe work on PvZ, or maybe work on certain all-ins, or work on, things like that. And then anything you want to work on too, so don't feel like I always have to take the reins. If you want to like work on a certain thing, we can do that as well.
Cool. What about like if I was like, is there any way you could have it so like you'd watch me playing as well?
Oh yeah. I like doing that after a couple lessons. But
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I think you have a good enough base that we could do some live coaching next lesson.
Oh, cool. How would I do that? Would I need to get some like casting software or something?
I usually